That was my grandmother. My grandmother. The one that had known me since I was a little bitty baby. She's no longer here. And now I have to go home and lay her to rest. And I cried going to the barracks. But brothers and sisters, I tell you this. There was somebody in the Bible just like that. Somebody in his life died. And those same things, those same feelings that I had, he had those same feelings. And I want to turn your attention to Isaiah chapter 6. Isaiah chapter 6. Isaiah wrote, he said, I saw the Lord the year King Uzziah died. Isaiah was close to the king. Uzziah was a good king until he called himself offering incense, and God struck him with leprosy. But Isaiah was looking at the nation. Now the nation is left without a leader, not a godly leader, and Assyria is on the rise. Isaiah was thinking, what are we going to do? And even now, today, as we look at the situation in our nation, as we look at the situation in the world, what are we going to do? Where do we go from here? The king is dead. And not only was Uzziah the king, but Jewish history says that Isaiah and King Uzziah were cousins. So this is a family member and the king. What are we going to do from here? How do we get ourselves right from here? Where do we go? Brothers and sisters. Now the title of my sermon, Now I Can See. And I'm going to read from Isaiah chapter 6. In the year that King Uzziah died, I saw the Lord seated high and on his lofty throne, and the hem of his robe filled the temple. And the seraphims were standing above him. They each had 6 wings, and with 2 they covered their face, and with 2 they covered their feet, and with 2 they flew. And one called to another, Holy, holy, holy is the Lord of armies. His glory fills the whole earth. And the foundations of the doorway shook at the sound of their voices, and the temple was filled with smoke. Then I said, Woe is me, for I am undone, because I am a man of unclean lips. I live amongst a people of unclean lips. And because my eyes have seen the King, the Lord of armies. Then one of the seraphims flew to me, and in his hand was a glowing coal that he had taken from the altar with tongues. He touched my mouth with it and said, Now, this has touched your lips. Your iniquity is removed. Your sin is atoned for. Brothers and sisters, as I said, now I can see. Now Isaiah was able to see what something was hindering, something was blocking him. Why now? In chapter 6 is the start of his ministry, but in verses chapter 1 through 5, those chapters that highlight something. God has given a scathing indictment on a nation. He said, the ox know me, but my people, they don't know me. And when I think about where we are even as a nation, God has been so good to this nation. God has been so good to people. But God said, why do you continue? In chapter 1, he said, why do you continue to rebel? Why do you continue to rebel against me? Do you want more beatings? We are rebelling against a holy and righteous God. Isaiah saw, he said, I saw the Lord the year the King Uzziah died. Something grabbed him and gripped him because he saw the Lord. He was in the presence. He saw God. And he saw God on the throne and angels serving him and worshiping him. Angels of real worship, holy worship, because we dealing with a holy God. It says, the year the king Uzziah died, I saw the Lord sitting high on the throne, and his robe, his glory, filled the temple. God's glory is throughout the whole world. But if only if men could see it. But it's a gift. But God said, Isaiah said, he wrote this because he began to look and reflect on himself. Because to see. He said, now I see, brothers and sisters, seeing. How do we see God? Because everybody can't see it. In order to be able to see God, we have to be in the right relationship with him. In order to be able to see him, you have to be. Because the angels, the seraphims, the burning ones, the Bible says, it says that with two wings, they cover their face because of God's holiness. Because he's so holy, the light is so brilliant, the light is so bright. When we see bright lights, it's so brilliant. Because God's glory is blinding. No man can see him and live. And Moses said, Lord, show me your glory. God said, let me hide you in the cleft of the rock. He said, when I pass by, I'll let you see my hind parts, because we can't see him and live. But Isaiah was amazed. He was astounded by God's glory. And God's glory is his righteousness, his goodness, the mercy. And that's given to us. But as Isaiah was looking at this, he said, his train filled the temple, but the seraphims, they had two. They covered their eyes. They had two more wings. They covered their feet. Lowliness. Looking at ourselves exactly how we are in the presence of God. And it says with two wings, they did fly, but when they flew, they was pronouncing the glory of God. Say, holy, holy, holy is the King. Holy, holy, holy is the Lord of hosts. Brothers and sisters, God is holy. And if we really want to see him, who he is, and we really want to worship him as he is, we have to be holy. We have to be holy. He said, be ye holy, for I am holy. But Isaiah saw this, but this is what he saw. Because in order to see it, we have to see God as he is. And Isaiah said, and he saw him, he was in the presence, but he saw himself when he was in the presence of God. Because when he looked at himself and looked at who God is, he felt woefully inadequate. And when we see God for what he is and who he is, because it says, and his glory filled the temple, and the foundation of the doorway shook. But in verse 5, it says, then I said, woe is me. This word woe gives a meaning of disgust. Because Isaiah, when he said, oh, let me take a look back. Woe, here I am in the presence of God. He said, woe is me. Because if we really want to see God, we have to acknowledge some things. We have to admit some things. And let me share something with you. When I was looking over this to preach it, I said, Lord, I want my relationship to be right with you. And so what I began to do, Brother Curtis, I said, Lord, if I'm going to be right with you, I have to confess everything, because I ain't right. Because that's Isaiah. He said, woe is me. He said, whoa, here I am in the presence of God, and I ain't even worthy to be here. I'm not worthy to be here because he is so holy, he's so righteous. But what I did, I made a list, some things that I need to get right. And it was a lengthy list. And I won't tell you what was in it, but there were some things I need to get right with God. And I wrote the list out. And when I was done, I asked God to help me with that. Because Isaiah was looking, he was acutely aware of his inadequacy. He was acutely aware of his sin. He said, woe is me. I'm ruined. I'm brought to silence. I can't even speak because God, your presence is so awesome. He's brought to silence. He said, I can't even speak. He said, I'm at awe. Do you remember? I was brought up in the South, and this is what we did in the South. When it thundered and lightning, what did you do? Sit down. All the TVs went off. And you found your place and nobody said nothing. That's the image. Or when we stand before a holy and righteous God, we stand in awe of how great he is, because when the lightning goes in the thunder, people jump. Because that awesome and that greatness of God, we look and he's so great and awesome. And even to this day, when it's lightning, I still get somewhere. I remember a time when I had my garden and me and my son was out. He was out with me, and I was tilling it up, and all of a sudden it said, boom. And then the lightning hit, and my son ran in the house. He said, Mama, Dad is about to die. And my son was afraid of the lightning. And I put the tiller up. But my son, he knew that this was power. If we ever realize what kind of power God has, and it's because of his mercy, he don't consume us. Because of his mercy, he don't consume. But Isaiah said, woe is me. He said, man, I'm undone. I'm ruined because I'm a man of unclean lips. He said, I'm a man of unclean lips. He said, my heart ain't right. Because he is the presence of God, he said, my heart ain't right. He said,